Howdy everybody, and welcome back to our Legacy of the Wizard aRPG tutorial. So last time I said that we would do using our items, so let's get cracking on that. So you might remember back in our stat bar episode that there was some code I pasted into the stat bar step event, and then immediately commented it all out because I realized I had not yet set up the pause event, which would be when this stuff would actually be used. So now we actually get to use it. So let's go here, Control-Shift-K. That would uncomment it all. Let's take a look at what we got here. If instance exists, object pause and object pause dot pause. So if it's not a hard pause, then allow you to control the inventory selection. So we're going to play a sound tick, and remember the sound tick is actually way too long, so it kind of slows everything down. But if I were spending more time on these things, then I would go into the audio and cut it down so that it would be about 0.2 seconds long or something like that. And that kind of... Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that the length of the tick sound rates how fast we can press left and right. So if the sound isn't playing, then we can press right or we can press left. And if we press right, then selection underscore equals wrap plus selection underscore 0 to 3. So we have 0, which is selecting nothing, 1, 2, and 3, which are selecting objects 1, 2, or 3. And of course, play the tick sound whenever we make our choice. And remember to put the plus before, not after, because we want to have the plus taken into account in the calculations rather than having it happen after the calculations, which wouldn't do us any good. So when we activate all this code, and we also do that here with our left press, then we will be able to select an item whenever we are choosing different items. So, but rather than doing anything there, we need to go back to our step event with the player, because we need to add some code over here for using the different items. So, what do we do first? Let's see here. Pound region. Item usage. Found in region. And bar underscore selection is equal to object underscore stat underscore bar dot selection underscore and underscore selection minus. So first thing first, we are going to use a magic bottle. Magic bottles restore all of our MP. And actually, if we come down over here to our object stats, just to make it easier to see, come over to the room start and set that to 1. That way we only have 1 magic when we use it. If object underscore stats dot magic underscore is equal to 0. So this item will actually trigger automatically if we have it selected and our magic is at 0. We don't use it directly. So if object underscore stats dot inv underscore equipped underscore selection equal to inventory.magic underscore bottle. Inventory is an enum that has the item number of different items. And in my case, I only added 3 items to the game. Magic bottle and the crystal. And I didn't add the Madoc in. After all, the only thing I have it in there is as an image. I didn't actually make it so that you could use it, unfortunately. So if we have the magic bottle selected, then object underscore stats dot fill underscore magic is equal to true. Object underscore stats dot alarm 0 is equal to 2. Object underscore stats dot inv underscore equipped underscore selection is equal to 0. So use up the item because our inventory equipped would be 0, or so we turn the item. So we had an item number 12 in the inventory at that position selection, and now we have turned that into a 0. So that uses up the item so that we can't use it again. Var underscore pause, because now we need to create a pause event, is equal to instance underscore create underscore layer xy instances object underscore pause and underscore pause dot called underscore manually is equal to false, because this is going to be called by the event rather than us actually calling it manually, so we don't want to be causing a pause sound. Oops. And another thing we're going to add in here will be the crystal ball. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to actually do it yet. And I'll do it. But you won't actually be able to use it yet. Because of this. Dun G on. That's how you spell dungeon. You have to be in the dungeon room, which we haven't set up yet, before you can actually use the object. In the original game, you could use it any time, but it's kind of a waste if you use it when you're already in the overworld, because that's where the crystal ball will take you to. It's a teleporter object that teleports you back to the home base if you need to get away from something or other. Let's see. Dot inv underscore equipped. Inventory dot crystal. Then we do a bunch of stuff. Copy and paste this in here. So object stats.inventory equipped selection, again, set it to 0 because we've used it up. Global.previous x is equal to 416. Global.previous y is equal to 220. And global.previous underscore room is equal to room. These are for use when we are doing our transition from room to room. When we transition, we need to be able to know what position our player should be in. And by doing this, we tell our player that if we come over to the room, when they start, or it should be over here. Yeah, there we go. We should be right there when we start. So that's where we want to teleport to. And room tells us that sets our previous room to be in the dungeon. And this is important because we are going to be adding some stuff into the player, which will tell it where to go to if you go into a door or something. Then we create a fade transition. Go to the overworld, object underscore input dot state underscore is equal to input none because we are doing a transition, and set our image speed equal to 0 so we can't move around during the transition. And that should move us from the dungeon to the overworld. And since our player object isn't persistent, there's a different object in the overworld as opposed to the object that is in the dungeon, and that's why we got to move it around so that's in the right position. Let's see. I think I'll leave this here for now. These aren't really explained very well yet, but I'll explain them a little bit more once I actually get into going into the dungeon, and when we actually add and going into the shop as well, because we're going to need it at that point too. So let me make sure. Is this everything I needed? Got magic bottle, got crystal ball. We can select them. Let's check it out and make sure it works. You know what? I actually need to select the items before we can actually do anything with them. So let's grab some items. Alright. Let's press the button. And here is our magic bottle. So once it's selected, let's cast a magic spell. And nothing happened. Oh yeah, that's because I need to actually set up the variables over here with the over in object stats. So with the object stats, let me pull this up. Back over here in the create event, we set up some variables like fill life, fill magic, and we'll be using these for detecting once we have filled up our life and our magic. So make sure everything's in here. We got that. Room start. That seems to be right. So we need to add an event, an alarm, alarm 0. And this will be our fill meter alarm. So if fill underscore magic underscore and magic underscore is less than 99, 99 being the maximum amount of well, technically 100 is the maximum amount, but I think that it was a bug that you can actually do that in the game, so I'm not actually going to go up to 100. So if magic underscore plus plus alarm 0 is equal to 2. That's how fast I found to just about match what I saw in the game for how fast it fills up your magic meter. And if alarm 0 is equal to 2, then audio underscore play underscore sound underscore fill underscore all underscore midtone 1 false, and else instance underscore destroy object underscore pause, because we have finished filling our magic meter, and underscore play underscore sound underscore fill underscore all underscore end tone 1 false. There we go. So this will trigger the alarm. At the start of the alarm, it'll play this sound, and then it'll come back and do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And let's try it out. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, in this case, when I actually do this, am I destroying the pause object and then recreating it every single step? I don't know. I think I messed up the logic there or something, but it works, so I'm just leaving it as it is. It's the golden rule in programming. If it works, leave it as it is. I'm just going to grab that one. We don't need the other ones. So yeah, you can see we can, again, select stuff. And there we go. Filling up our magic. And that was good. And As you can see, pause event stops as soon as we finish. Alright, I think that's everything for using items. And I'll get more into using the crystal ball once we actually add in the dungeon and the shop room. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and good luck with your programming.